What's going on, Pride Nation? Welcome to Luke G's Field Review. Today we got a nice show going on. I got a lot to talk about, so let's get to this, man. I wanted to go live because I believe that there are some narratives that are being pushed that I think deserves a fair and honest, open discussion. And what I believe is, if you're going to have a difference of an opinion, it should be met with a level of respect and integrity. So the first thing I want to start off with is Hard Knocks. And ask the question to you, the fans. Do you really want your Detroit Lions on Hard Knocks? Okay. Is that something that you really want to see? Okay. For me, the answer is very simple. Okay. It's no. At no point in time do I want to see the Detroit Lions on Hard Knocks. I just don't. And to me, I think the reason is I don't want to, I don't want to be in a position that I think does not benefit our team in a make or break year. So let's do some of the homework. Let me go ahead and shout out the ones who are in the chat. What up, though, John? John Hannon's in the chat with us. DW, what up, though? Lions fan 75, what up, though? I see that so far we got DW says no. Lions fan 75 says no. Lions fan 75 is asking questions about Collins. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the draft as well. We're gonna start with the Hard Knocks life, because our local media is pushing this narrative that the Lions need to do Hard Knocks. Like, that's what they're pushing. They're pushing this belief that the Lions need to be on Hard Knocks. And the evidence supports the opposite. For a team that's in a make or break year, I don't think Hard Knocks is something that we want to do. And I think the reason that is because when I go through and I look at the evidence, okay, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams. So 11 teams has been on Hard Knocks. Some of them have done it twice, like the Cowboys, the Bengals. But nonetheless, here's what the Hard Knocks life looked like. The 2001 Ravens were the first team in Hard Knocks. They did 10-6. Okay, they won in the wild card, lost in the divisional. The Cowboys in 2002, they went 5-11 on Hard Knocks. In 2007, the Chiefs, they went 4-12 after being on Hard Knocks. The Cowboys in 2008 went 9-7, missed the playoffs after being on Hard Knocks. The Bengals in 2009 went 11-5, lost in the wild card round. I'm sorry, the Bengals went 10-6. My apologies. They went 10-6 and lost in the wild card round. The Jets in 2010 is the only team on Hard Knocks under new head coach Rex Ryan to win a wild card or divisional, get to the conference championship and lose. Okay, they finished 11-5. Then the Dolphins in 2012 went 7-9. The Bengals in 2013 went 11-5 on Hard Knocks. They lost in the wild card. The Falcons in 2014 went 6-10. The Texans in 2015 went 9-7. And made it to the wild card and lost. The Rams in 2016 went 4-12. That was Jeff Fisher's final farewell tour. The Buccaneers in 2017 went 5-11. The Browns in 2018 went 7-8-1. Majority of those teams lost under this TV show, people. Why would we want this? What up, though, Daryl Richards? What up, though, George Morgan? What up, though, Noble Sports Entertainment? Hey, yo, I always shout out my Detroit Lions people. Derek P. Fields, please check out his channel. Noble Sports Entertainment by TA. Check out his channel. What up, though, Beast Mode? All right, so I got some conversations for some draft. We're gonna get into the draft. I just really want to know: do people really want their team on Hard Knocks? Because the evidence suggests that putting your team on Hard Knocks will set you up. Go Lion says no TV. I agree. I agree. That's no for me. I know that 97.1 the ticket is, had a show a couple of days that was talking about, yeah, they should do it. And I'm like, no, stay away from this. Stay away from this uh Hard Knocks television show. Okay. And then here's another thing I want to touch on, because there are some things that became apparent to me. Um when it comes to free agency. I am hearing a lot of people um, bring up this idea that the Lions need to aggressively go after Trey Flowers. I have heard a lot of conversations that the Lions need to be aggressive in free agency, and I don't quite share those sentiments. And I think my reason for not sharing those sentiments is simply put this: the Lions sit at about 35 million in salary cap, okay? Which means that you can probably get one, maybe two big names, and then you got to get a bunch of scrap heap people. And for me, I don't understand why there needs to be this hard aggression towards Trey Flowers. Like, when I watch the New England Patriots, they work together as a unit. And I feel like Kyle Van Noy jumped off the screen more than Trey Flowers. But I know somebody's going to point to and say, well, he had this many sacks. The game is bigger than sacks. I think our defensive coordinator said that, and I put a video out about that. The game is bigger than that. Now, Lions fan 75 say they now have 37 million. That's correct. They did get rid of Glover Quinn. That is correct. But how do you want to spend that 37 million? Okay, that's the question. No Hard Knocks. I'm a firm believer in sneaking up on the competition. No unnecessary spotlight. I'm with you on that, Daryl Richards. Okay, so Beast Mode says all the other pass rushers in free agency are going to get tagged, so Flowers is going to be one of the only options. I don't know that, because when you look at who else needs pass rushers and who are looking to up their defense, the Colts have more money than us, and they most certainly are going to target a player that can come in and help, that's cheaper and it's not going to break their bank. You know, now Preston Smith being a cheaper option, Lions fan 75, I can feel you on that. And to me, they're pretty much the same player, in my opinion. It's not like they're dominating at their position. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like they're coming in and they're creating such a ruckus that, oh man, this is a sure can't miss player. I don't see that. This to me, what's the difference between Trey Flowers and Kennard? What's the difference between those two players? We got Kennard, and then it brings me to this next point. If we are going to address those positions, I just don't understand why do it. Now, I do like the idea of going after Landon Collins. Now, something tells me Landon Collins is going to want to get paid big time to go from New York to Detroit. And if we can get him, I think he suits more of a need for it. I believe that a legitimate safety helps shore up the middle of the field even better. Now, let me go through and address some of the comic sections. I got George Morgan saying Trey and Matty P got along well and he knows the system. That is true. That is true. It's good to have a player who can fit the system. But the question becomes, Can you get somebody who can fit the system and give you more production than Trey Flowers in the draft? I believe you can. And at a way cheaper price. Says Trey Flower plays run very well, and he's very consistent at getting 7+ sacks and has played in Matt Patricia's scheme. That's by beast mode. That's true beast mode. I mean, yeah, he got 7.5. You know, he get those 7 sacks, but sacks is not the end all be all to a good DN, good rush outside linebacker. Pressure is a huge part of it. You know, getting home is cool, but pressure is a huge part of it. There's a stat that we don't talk about when it comes to our DNs, our D tackles, our linebackers, and that's pressure. When we talk about defense as a whole, we don't talk about the amount of pressure. We just go about what the hard line stat of a sack or interception is. But getting pressure is the biggest thing. Now, for me, Landon Collins does something that I think we don't have, and that's shore up the secondary. Because if you got a safety that's rangy and can cause conflict for people, that's huge. It changes the way a quarterback want to aim and how a defense want to attack. I mean, how an offense want to attack your defense. And I see Beast Mode says that Trey Flowers is a pure rusher. Is he? Like I'm not trying to be funny. If you took Trey Flowers off that New England Patriots team, you think he get those same numbers? Like I don't think so. If you take him off that defense, I'm not sure Beast Mode if he's going to do that. Now I know Noble Sports is TA is saying like Nev Lawson has to go. Nev Lawson is out of here. Don't fret. Nev Lawson is not going to be on the roster. Okay. But you know, I'm just going through, I'm reading some of these comments, and I got to tell you, to me, I'm not sold on the Trey Flowers. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that he's not going to be good for us. I'm saying for the amount of money he's going to require, what are we going to get different from him than Kennard? Okay. And I agree with Daryl Richards. Who says no Trey Flowers. There are a lot of edge rushers in this draft. Why spend crazy money on a guy who may not be hungry to win anymore? I say bring in fresh young guys at D. Me too. I agree with that. I agree with the idea of the youth movement and bringing in fresh people who are going to be hungry, trying to get that big contract and build through the draft. Good teams build through the draft and they sprinkle in a few free agents here and there. I mean, let's just take the Rams, for example. They went and sold out this free agency. Yeah, they made it to the Super Bowl, but look what happened when they got there. It didn't have an impact. Now, John Henry says, I think we can get DeMarcus Lawrence easier than Trey Flowers because the Cowboys will extend Dak and they will probably go after Earl Thomas. They're going to franchise tag DeMarcus Lawrence at best, John. I cold-heartedly believe that. I think he's a franchise tag person all day. Also, people, tomorrow is our regular show. Hopefully, we get everything squared away where Derek P. Fields and Noble Sports Entertainment TA and I are get into our little round table and ruffle some feathers and talk about the Detroit Lions. So that's going to be tomorrow. I don't know time just yet, but I'm going to hit up those guys and find out. And we got to also figure out what channel it's going to be on. Now, Moses Martinez, I think our best option is to fill all our holes in free agency, and the draft is to sign Trey Flowers. That will allow us to go after a top-tier cornerback and tight end in the draft. Now, let me just say something, Moses, a.k.a. Eminem. I like that. I like that idea because to me, that brings me to my next question. Why do Lions fans have a problem with the idea of the Lions taking a tight end at 8 if they stuck there? Like, why be upset with that? Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but can anybody in the chat tell me who was the Lions' best tight end? Like, ever. And if you want to be more specific, who was the Lions' best tight end during the era of Matthew Stafford? Who was it? If you're telling me Eric Ebron, you know that's not fair because he can't He couldn't catch water, and if he was dropped into an ocean. So tell me, who is it that the Lions had that was a threat at tight end? You know, there's been this narrative. I've seen comments from people saying things like, if the Lions go tight end, I'm never watching them again. I'm out. I'm throwing my stuff away. Scrap this. You know, I'm seeing things like that. And I'm thinking to myself, but who have the Lions had at tight end? You know, I got Beast Mode who said Brandon Pettigrew, maybe. I mean, I can't even say him. Pettigrew was garbage. You know, and even Marcus Corley, he said sadly it had to be Pettigrew. And here's my question, people. If you can get a player like TJ Hockenson, who I'm pretty sure if he get past the Detroit Lions is going to the Green Bay Packers. I'm pretty sure of this. If you can get a player like him, a guy who's the most complete tight end, who run blocks, who runs routes, who catch in traffic. I mean, y'all forget that he played with another stellar tight end and overshadowed him. Okay. And the guy has it all. So why are people so why what George Stallone in the 30s? Man, Lord Jesus, how far are we going back? It says if I was Daryl Richards says if I was the GM, I would throw most of that money and try to get CJ Mosley. I wouldn't dare. If you put most of your money on CJ Mosley, here's the thing. The goal is to do what Moses Martinez said. Plug a lot of those holes with the free agent players, those major holes, and then go and get those players who are going to be major contributors via the draft. I think that's the best approach. But there seems to be this consensus with people who says, don't draft a tight end. And Beast Mode says Hawk is the next George Kittle. Yes, but a better blocker. A much better blocker. I can show you an easy hour video of him punishing people in the blocking. And not just in run block. In the past, he's not getting worked over. Now, I got some film studies coming up on tight ends soon. Now, I'm going to show you some tight ends, and we're going to have to discuss some things that they need to work on, like going to the weight room. I don't see those flaws with Hockenson. You know, okay, so Morgan said he got a 5-year-old. Okay, I feel you, bro. I feel you. But let's be honest, Lions fan. Would y'all really be upset if the Lions took a tight end? Because if the tight end that they take is Hockenson or Irv Smith, and it's the 8th pick and we couldn't get that pick traded, I'm not mad. Why? Because this defense, this draft is defense heavy. You can fill those voids easy. Now, let me go and address some of these other topics because I want to make sure that I hit on people's comments. Let me go scroll up. Let me see who I ain't touched on. Go Lion says, we are building this team through the draft. Hashtag undraft for development. Low cost free agents will follow suit for development rookies for short contracts on proof of winning, which brings more. Hey, go Lions, man. Hey, he go Lions get the gold star today. That's what winning teams do. They're building teams through the draft, and they sprinkle in a free agent here and there, and they take a go at it. If the Lions tight end situation wasn't so bad, why did the Lions try to trade for Rob Gronkowski? They tried. Rob Gronkowski said he will retire before he go anywhere else because he wants to do his whole career with Tom Brady. Okay, so go Lions, you get that gold star today, man. No, you know. Now Beast Mode says the only reason I don't think we are going to go after some of these edge rushers is because like 10 plus edge rushers in this class are bad boys. They have had issues in the past, and the Lions don't take bad boys. Beast Mode, you're not lying about that. You're not lying about that. I can't lie and say that what you said is not true. However, there are a lot of edge rushers who are not bad boys. And some of those bad boys that they speak of, that stuff occurred in high school. I can't believe that they got disinvited for high school stuff. So Lions fan 75 said, if we don't address edge in free agency, when do we address it depending on who it is? You address it in the draft. You absolutely address it in the draft. Being Bangagoo is going to be a good edge rusher. There are so many people that it's ridiculous. I know that Akron has a good DN / outside edge rusher, Jamal Davis. Sag Nasty says, I would take Hawk at 8, but not Irv Smith. I ain't mad at you. But because I can see why you would say that. Hawk is definitely the most complete one. And I ain't mad at you. DW says, I want to take Gentry in the second round. Now, DW, this is going to be funny because somehow, some way, I believe if the Lions do not take Hockenson and the first, I believe Michigan's tight end Gentry, Zach Gentry, will be a Lion. And I have some concerns, and I'm okay, some okays with it. One of the things is I got a film study coming with him, and when I show you what happens to him, I don't want y'all to get mad at me and say I'm not being fair or giving the facts. But I see we got Sag Nasty that says Brian Burns looks better and better the more I watch his film. Brian Burns do look like a good guy who can come in and give you a high motor and stuff like that. We can get Winovich in the third. That says Lions fan 75. TA with Noble Sports Entertainment says all Lions fans don't agree on a tight end for number 8. I'm cool with it. Yeah, I'm cool with it too. Dre Burns, what up though? We got Dre Burns in the chat with us. It says, I see Hawk as a day one starter, but I also see Byron Murphy as a day one starter. I also would go cornerback. Here's the problem with that. I believe Byron Murphy could be there, but now you got to start to figure out what's going to give you the biggest impact. The Detroit Lions offense has been anemic in scoring. And if you got a tight end who can block and now catch, it creates a huge problem for people. And so you have to try to play who gives you the most instant impact. Cornerbacks, in my opinion, have a little bit of a growing pain. If many of you remember during the time of Darius Slay, boy, he would get worked over when he first got to the Detroit Lions. I mean, it was frustrating. He got benched so much, I think he had splinters in his butt. Okay, it was the most frustrating thing I ever seen. But you're right when you speak of the cornerback position. See, here's the thing about being at number 8. For all those Lions fans and YouTubers who talk Lions sports who kept saying the Lions need to tank, what they didn't realize was the Lions fell into a perfect position because some of these teams can't afford to pay the price tag to move up to 4. But at 8, that's a very tradable pick because it's going to still come with a healthy price, but not as much as it would be to say move from 20 to 8 or, but let's say I'm a team at 15 or 13 and I want to move to number 4 or 2. It's not going to happen. So and they have. I do believe what Darryl Richards is saying. He's saying that both positions, tight end and cornerback, have been anemic. The cornerback position became anemic because the Lions just was hoping that they can ride with Darius Slay, and they were praying that Nev Lawson would be somewhat the eye-opener he was. But see, the reason why Nev Lawson ain't going to stay on the team is because they still got Ford, and Ford's going to probably be your slot corner. And so now you're just talking about adding another cornerback. I think it should be a veteran, somebody who's already played in this game. Rather that be Roby, Verrett. That they need a veteran there. Now I see Butch and Winovich are the only players on the Michigan football team that aren't overrated. No, Butch is not overrated. Winovich is, but for the most part, I agree. Beast Mode, they not. They not. So, and I see that we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do. Hey, Derek, just let me know what time you want to do it tomorrow. For me, 9 works a little bit better if we're doing it on your channel. But just for that benefit. Now, this brings me to my next point, people. So there was some news that came out that Ndamukong Suh bought a house in Birmingham. and that many people are wondering, well, why would Ndamukong Suh buy a house here? Now, let me just put this out here first. Ndamukong Suh has businesses here and has been trying to be a part of another business with Calvin Johnson and Rob Sims, and that is to get into this marijuana game. But let's be honest about this. Well, let's be honest about this. Is it crazy to think that the Lions will bring back Ndamukong Suh? And if it is, would you want him back? I would be shocked if they brought him back. I really would. I really would. Do I think him coming back helps the Detroit Lions? Yes. Anybody who automatically requires a double team, you gotta want back. Now 10 to 15 million to a backup D tackle. He ain't gonna be no backup. He ain't gonna be no backup. Now Marcus Corley says tight ends is a frustrating position as well. It is, but there are some things that you can look at if you get into analytics and stuff that you can look at that clearly lets you know what's going on with these tight ends on how they're going to be successful or not. It's how they use. And Marcus Corleone also says Tavon Wilson needs to go too. He will be gone, but Tavon Wilson may get spared by virtue of, depth. But he gives you the most in return. Now, George Morgan says, if he came cheap, I will welcome him back. I would too. And I think he would come cheap. He ain't finna get no new stuff. Daryl Richards says Nev Lawson should be a greeter at Walmart. You funny for that, bro. Now Beast Mode said Ashawn would show Suh what's up and take the starting spot. I disagree with that. And I'm gonna tell you why. Ndamukong Suh would work with Detroit and would make a difference. The reason it wouldn't make a difference for Ashawn or Snacks or anything like that is because Snacks come out after the third, come out most of the time on third downs. But what Suh does is, imagine if you can just let Suh play DN. If he could just be your right end, and you got Suh at right end, you got Ashawn in the 3-tech, you got Snacks Harrison, and then you can plug in whoever you want at the other DN spot. That front right there with another linebacker added to this fold and a safety just short up your entire defense. That's how I see it. Now, Lions fan 75 says, what about Lane? Lane need to make a decision, but to me, the Detroit Lions need to make a decision about him first. I would get rid of him ASAP. Okay. All right. I would get rid of him ASAP. But I like what George Morgan said. If you got Hand, Suh, Snacks, and Robinson all on the field, good luck with that. Now, how much am I willing to pay Ndamukong Suh? Slightly above league minimum. Slightly above it. And I would pay him more if he's taking a cheap deal for two years. But we only need him for a year to be able to fill these other spots. Okay. Now I'm with Marcus. He says, I would be stunned if Suh came back, but would you bench Ashawn or Suh? You wouldn't have to bench nobody, Marcus. I don't think you got to bench nobody at all. Like, I don't think nobody would have to get benched. In fact, I think you basically just create a front four that's going to cause havoc for people who run. If you watch what the division is doing, and this is the one thing I'm giving Quinn props to, he's gearing his team up to win the division. Most of the teams in the division are trying to run the ball. The Vikings tried to do it early on, had some injuries that came about with Cooks. The Bears certainly run the ball, but then when you look at the Bears will then turn around and, let's say, for example, they'll abandon their run and try to run with the quarterback. You put Suh back in the fold, and y'all got to keep in mind the last time this defense had any respectability, Suh was on it. You put Suh in the fold, and it does changes a lot of things. It really does. The problem is we got to just be careful. Now, I got Daryl Richards who says, I don't want Suh. I think we should give Ashawn a pass. He became a better player when Snacks came. Luke again, go watch Dylan Mack's film. I am on top of that, Daryl. I'm looking at that. I got a lot of people who I got film study I gotta do. I'm trying to get these offensive people out. Daryl brings up, what about Grady Jarrett? See, here's the thing with Grady Jarrett. He's gonna want to get paid because he hasn't really had that big payday. And if you're telling me we can get Grady Jarrett in for cheap, cool. But Grady Jarrett, to me, doesn't put fear in people like Ndamukong Suh. Like you saw in games, even in the Super Bowl, they was double teaming Aaron Donald and they'll stunt Suh and try to do plays to not let them get going, like quick passes. So I don't see that. I mean, to me, Grady, I wouldn't be mad at. I just think he wants to get paid too. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got franchise tag. Beast Mode says, so could we get Suh, Collins, Preston Smith, then maybe a couple more people in free agency? I think the Lions are going to sign about 2 to 3 people in free agency. And then a bunch of spot players here and there. I see we got Flex 310. What up, though, Flex? Fox CNG. How many big name free agents can we sign? With $37 million, okay, you got to play devil's advocate. If you telling me you want Jadeveon Clowney, you getting maybe 1.5. You telling me you want DeMarcus Lawrence, you getting maybe 1. You telling me you want CJ Mosley, you can get about 2. If you're saying you want Landon Collins, depending on what he's asking for, and I think they brought that up, you talking about maybe you can get about 2 with him. They said we have 40 million. Okay, well, let me go and check because on Luke G's field review, we're about the facts. So I'll go and take a look to be sure. If y'all ever want to see what the salary caps look like for each team, go to Over the Cap. It is a great website that's very accurate, that puts you right where the cap should be for any team. So I'll look it up and take a look now. And mind you, that this number that they got, this 37 million, that is just basically the representation of what it is before we know that what the cap is going to be for 2019. So they could be much more money in there, but I'm only going to discuss it in terms of what they could get now. So let me take a look and see what their current salary cap situation look like. Okay. So let's take a look. All right. So what it looks like is right now, the Lions are sitting at 37. With a team salary cap that's free is $35,578,547. And so not quite the 40 million that we would like to have, but that's more than enough to work with some stuff. Now Lions fan 75 says no, give me Collins. Okay, cool. I'm with that. What up, though, William Quarles? It says I think 3 good players. Okay, so let's just play devil's advocate, William Quarles. If we're getting 3 good players, who are they? Because that's going to tell me what the money's going to look like. Quinn cuts only brought it up to that 35 at Fox CNG. If you got another resource you want me to take a look at, post it in the chat and I'll take a look at it. It says if we get Trey, so Peter Esho, I'm pricing your name wrong, but what up, though? My apologies. It says if we get Trey Flowers, then we should get a cornerback in the first round and then DN in the later rounds. Okay. Peter, that's not a bad idea, But the only thing is what I'm asking the question of is, and not to say that what you're saying is wrong, but what are you willing to pay Trey Flowers? And what cornerback do you think is going to be there at 8 that we can take? Okay. Um, um, you know, John Simmons, what up, though? Welcome to the Luke G's Field Review. John Simmons says Flowers 18 million and Collins 8.5. John Simmons, are you saying that's what they want? Is that what you're saying they want to be paid? Or that's what you're saying you would pay them? Beast Mode is already saying that Collins is going to cost way more than 8 million. I gotta believe that to be true. Daryl Richardson say, what about Sheldon Richardson? I'm gonna pass on Sheldon Richardson because even with the Vikings, he does not demand a double team. He often gets one-on-ones and he doesn't get home and push in that pocket like I would like to see. John Simmons says cornerback in the first and tight end in the second. Okay, I can see that, but to me, it's about getting the pick right. If you're telling me that the cornerback is going to come in and have an immediate impact, cool. But to me, I think the tight end have a higher ceiling for an immediate impact. Marcus Correll said, would you rather them sign Collins or draft a safety like Rapp? This is a very good question, Marcus. I would rather them draft a safety like Rapp. Rapp to me looks like Earl Thomas and Troy Polamalu. His ball skills are very good. He's not the world's biggest hitter, but he will hit you. And when that ball's in the air, he just has a knack for getting it. I would much rather them take a player like Rapp from Washington over signing Landon Collins. William Coral says Preston Smith, Tavon Coleman, and Zadarius Smith, linebacker from Baltimore. So those would be the 3 players he think we can get. Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith are pretty much the same players. So and they are not that different from Kennard. I think Zadarius Smith was out of position in Baltimore. I think he's definitely a DN, but that's another story. Preston Smith is a stand-up 3-4 outside linebacker. The Lions do run somewhat of a hybrid 3-4, but I don't know. Tevin Coleman has had some injuries, but nonetheless, I would be okay if we went after him. So yeah, I can see us signing all 3 of those with the money that we have, William Cora. So good call. You get a gold star for the day too. Noble Sports Entertainment says Landon Collins, Bradley Roby, or Ronald Darby draft a defensive end. Okay, those cornerbacks would be cheap. Landon Collins would still cost. Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that. I think the only thing is if you bring in, I would rather have Bradley Roby over Darby because I think Bradley Roby has kind of been a little bit more consistent. The baby I love his name. The baby suplex. If we get Trey Flowers, we should grab Montez Sweet as an outside linebacker. See, I don't like the idea of baby suplex. I'm gonna tell you why. Montez Sweet need to be exclusively a DN. You don't get to playing around having him stand up and doing all that extra stuff, because one of the things I notice about when I watch him is he does not always come off out that 2-point stand as fast as he does in the 3-point stand where he can be able to see the ball. So I don't know if I would want to risk that. Flex 310. What think about the mock that got us taking the tight end in the first round? I think that mock that got us taking the tight end in the first round makes the most sense if we're stuck at 8. Because one of the things you got to understand is the Detroit Lions are going to be a team to run the ball. And when we pass, they want to have a tight end who can pass block and run block first and foremost, and run route second, catch the ball third. And if you're telling me that TJ Hockenson from Iowa is that tight end, I got to believe that makes sense to me. Okay? That makes so much sense to me. I'm okay with that. I don't know why so many Lions fans are against it. George Morgan, I found a guy that might be a 4th or 5th rounder Guy at safety, Amani Hooker. I think Amani Hooker is finna go ham at the combine, and his stock finna rise, George Morgan, because I like Amani Hooker, and I know for a fact that once he gonna do his thing at the combine, we're gonna have some serious problems. John Simmons, safety, has been going cheap as of late. Yeah, but what safeties have come out like Landon Collins? That's the question. Who's the last top safety to come out? Right now, you got a group that has Landon Collins and Earl Thomas, and Earl Thomas has already said he's going to Texas, so he's not even in the topic of conversation. So either the Texans or the Cowboys have the best shot of landing him, and if they don't come hollering at him, then you got to pray to God that he wants to choose a team like Detroit. He's going to try to find the best way possible to get as close to his hometown, Texas. Beast Mode said Darryl Savage is a monster from Maryland. He's a safety, might go in the 3rd to 5th. Now, I can see him going in the 3rd to 5th, but my problem with Darryl Savage is Darryl Savage tries to go for the big hit too much, in my opinion, and I wish that he would just learn to sometimes play the receiver, but he's always playing the ball. Go Lions got first-round tight end or O-line. Our situation is easy. Establish the run and protect the quarterback. They want to trade back low as possible and pick up a second-round pick. If we stay at 8, we will pick a tight end. I agree with Go Lions. I absolutely agree with Go Lions. I think that protecting the quarterback and running the ball is the number one priority for the Detroit Lions. And in a draft that's deep with D-ends, D-tackles, the linebackers not that deep, but they have a fair share of linebackers. It's got a nice, pretty set of cornerbacks and safeties. I just feel like tight end, there's about 5 tight ends I feel good about. Once you get out of those 5, I'm starting to question some things about them. Even Gentry. William Coors, then the draft would be wide open. My draft would be first round, trade back to about 15, pick Devin White. If at 8, take Hockenson. In the second round, take Jalen Ferguson, 3rd best corner. Hey, William Coors, I'm not mad at that. I think the only thing is I think Jalen Ferguson is going to get selected in the first round, late first round. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. The Green Bay Packers are looking for somebody to replace Clay Matthews. They're ready to get that guy. And I think Ferguson is one of those guys that they're going to target. If they can't get the tight end with their first pick, they're going to target Ferguson. I'm almost sure of it. Let me be clear, people. My dream is for us to be able to get the trade back. I believe that the Lions are trading that 8th pick. I have a video breaking down Bob Quinn's recent interview and breaking the code of Bob Quinn. The thing is this, people. I'm going to tell you why I believe that if the Lions are stuck there at 8, that the pick is more likely going to be the tight end. If you just look at the pattern in which he's picking his players, the schools he's picking from, the conferences, TJ Hockenson is in the conference that he loves. The second most draft conference under Bob Quinn is the Big Ten. And the number 1 right now is SEC. And if you look at the players in the SEC, nobody is more complete than Hockenson at tight end. Okay? That's what I see. The Baby Suplex says, I like Jay Stringer in the 2nd. He's a complete tight end with good yak skills. I think he's a perfect fit. I do like Jay Sternberger. I do like him. The only problem, I don't know if he's as complete, because when you watch him in his blocking, he doesn't move anybody, and when he goes against faster DNs, he doesn't touch them. And so I've seen that happen too. So it says, Flex 310, you hear the herd today. Collins got the Packers going aggressive at the Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown does not scare me. In fact, I actually pray that the Packers take Antonio Brown, because he's going to ravage their cap. He's going to tear their cap all the way up. And they're not going to have enough money to keep Antonio Brown, who wants a new contract, and build a defense up to stop the run. You know, I just don't see that being the case neither. So if you're asking me to be fearful of Antonio Brown, no way. I'm not. Antonio Brown's going to ravage whoever he goes to cap because he wants a new contract, even though he's 31 years old. So I'm okay with that. I see a lot of people. I see John Simmons says he agreed with Quinn. Trade back. I think that's everybody's dream right there. Darryl Richards, Luke, don't be surprised if Quinn trades back and grab Cody Ford. Hold on, I done lost my message. It's going a little bit faster than I can go with. Let me see. All right. Where are we at? Don't be surprised if he drafts Cody Ford or Dalton Reisner and grab a tight end like Irv Smith or CJ Conrad. Darryl Richards, none of those I won't be surprised about. I think, in all honesty, those are all good options. I believe that we're trading that pick. I believe that that pick is more valuable, you know, given this position because it doesn't hurt any team who trades to that A spot. So I think that's perfect. Now we got, let's see who we got. We got Marcus Willis. I think Chase Winovich would be a good value pick in the second round. But we got a lot of Michigan love up in here. Okay. Here's my thing about Chase Winovich. If I believe that Chase Winovich is who he is, the question becomes, are there better options that I believe would be there in the second round? Yes. I believe there are better options that would be there in the second round. We got Chris Matry. However the names of the players fit, they will continue to build this team from the ball out. It starts mid-season, snacks. Let me make sure I get this message right. It starts mid-season, snacks in, take out. And I think that would be the case moving forward. I agree. And I think that's what they're doing. They're finally going to build this team through the trenches all the way out. That's why they want to run the ball. That's why on defense they want to stop the run, because what they're trying to do is set it up to where they dictate how teams play. If you can force a team to do what the Lions have been doing for 400 years, which is just pass, and pass some more, I believe that you can change a lot of the dynamics as it pertains to getting this team better. Now, George Morgan is saying, I'm hoping Oakland wants to move back up. Yeah, I agree. I think they give us the best option at getting 2 first. Beast Mode says, how about trade back with the Dolphins, get the first round pick and Xavier Howard, then take Hockett with the first? The question is, do the Packers pick before the Dolphins, Beast Mode? Because if the Packers pick before the Dolphins, Hockenson won't be there. I cold-heartedly believe. Here's the thing that I paid attention to. In past years, if Todd McShay said the Lions were going to take this player, he usually was about 70% correct. And when it came to the players in our division, he was about 70% correct. He has not been correct about the Lions pick since Quinn has been here, but he's been right in terms of our division opponents. And if that pick ends up being where Todd McShay said they're going to take a tight end, I believe it, because he's got some type of insight with some of these teams. So I just need to know, do the Packers pick before the Dolphins? And if the answer is yes, TJ Hockenson will not be there. Like, I just don't see it under no stretch of the imagination. But I wouldn't mind that trade because it does get you a cornerback. You still maintain your first, and you can still pick up other pieces. Let me go ahead and see some other comments down here. Now, we got Lions fan 75. So let me ask you, would you like the Lions to work in the secondary and free agency and get a tight end in the first round and an edge in the second? Yes, that is exactly what I want them to do. Go and get a veteran cornerback, okay? Because they're not gonna break the bank like some of these other positions right now. Get a veteran cornerback to pair with Darius Slay. Okay, you got Ford for the slot. Okay, and then what you do is in the first round, if you stuck at 8, you take TJ Hockenson. If you trade that pick everything is open now. You can take cornerback, you can take offensive line, you can take whatever, because you now have extra picks to work with. But yes, I would prefer them work with a veteran and build on that. Thanks, George. George says Miami at 13, Green Bay at 12. And then you got we need Cincinnati at 11. All right, so again, I don't think TJ Hawkinson getting past Green Bay. What about a trade for Patrick Peterson? Patrick Peterson, if you trade for Patrick Peterson, the question is, what are you willing to give up for Patrick Peterson? Because Patrick Peterson is going to be on, I think, the last year or got 2 years on his contract, and he's going to require a new contract. What are you willing to give up for a guy that you may only have for 1 year? Maybe 2 at best. That's the question you want to ask yourself, William Coral. If you're going to trade for Patrick Peterson, what are you giving up for him? Marcus Willis, which round are you predicting Khalil Hodge will be drafted? Since Khalil Hodge was not invited to the combine, oddly enough, all I have to do is see what teams come to his pro day. If the following teams come to his pro day, i.e. New England, i.e. the Vikings, I'm trying to think of some other teams that need him out there like that. The Ravens, if any of those teams in need of a linebacker go to his pro day, he's going to get drafted between the 2nd and 3rd round. William Coral's 4th round. Okay, so William Coral say he would give up a 4th round pick for Patrick Peterson for a 1 year to a 2 year rental. I can do that. I most certainly can do that. I don't believe that I would get a player in the 4th round for that. I don't think the Cardinals would take that 4th. I just don't see that happening. The Cardinals is going to look for at least a 3rd to a 2nd or some type of complimentary pair of picks with a player. What do you think about the Lions trading for Chandler Jones for our 3rd round pick, then a 4th next year? I'm gonna have at least a 2.5 hour video bashing them for that move. You cannot give up a 3rd and a 4th for Chandler Jones. And if you're just saying give up a 3rd or a 4th, I'm saying no, because Chandler Jones is the same player as Trey Flowers. And if you're going to give up a draft pick for a guy that's similar, you might as well just pick up the guy in free agency that's not going to cost you nothing but regular money. Daryl Richardson, Darquez Denard, what do you think about us signing him? Stay away from him. That's what I think about him. You know what? Let me be clear. I love me some Michigan State football. I love me some Texas football. I love Michigan State basketball. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to Darquez Denard on the Bengals, one of the things that I noticed with him was he just seemed like he always thinking everything as he's doing it. And he has not had the success that he should have had with that team. I don't want the Lions touching him. He's not a vet that I would want unless you're getting him to be a slot corner. Lions fan 75. So you want a corner and a safety in free agency, and also would move JD to Will. Exactly. See, if you move Jared Davis to the weak side linebacker, what you're doing is you're allowing him to work his space. And then if you draft a guy like Khalil Hodge, your middle is shored up. And then now you get you a legitimate safety to short the entire middle of the field. So I'm going to show you the winning formula for teams with winning defenses. And I'm going to show you how it's been consistent over the years. If you go to last year, look at the top defenses, okay? If you start with the New England Patriots, what did they do? You got Dante Hightower out there. You got patrolling. You got Kyle Vinoy out there. And then they got legitimate safety play and a cornerback out there that's got veteran ability, all right? And then they got big Danny Shelton at the D tackle spot. And they work everything from the middle without. And then you go to, say, the Bears. The Bears did add Khalil Mack, right? But then they got Hakeem Hicks. And then they went out and got Roquan Smith from Georgia. They got Eddie Jackson from LSU. Still had Amos, who could be a possible free agent. And the middle of the field was shored up from the inside out. Then you go to teams like the Rams, who defense was spotty. Yeah, they had to lead, and yeah, they added Ndamukong Suh, but their linebacker play was suspect in the middle, and the safety play was inconsistent. And what happened? They started getting exposed in numerous of games. And then you go to defenses like the Saints. The Saints middle linebacker was not as consistent as he could have been and should have been, even though the D line was consistent and the safety was there. So I think those are the things that you're seeing. It's a little bit different with this team. Let's go look at some more comments. Beast Mode says Chandler Jones for a third rounder wouldn't be bad because he's had 10 plus sacks every season and has played in Matty's P system. True. But if I'm not mistaken, the system has to have people to make it work, right? And if I'm going to give up a draft pick for this guy, why not just draft me a person or sign a free agent to do the same thing? You know, Noble Sports Entertainment said that Chandler Jones is a solid edge rusher. He led the league in sacks in 2017 with 17 sacks, and in 18 he had 13 sacks. Again, as a person who loves football, y'all will understand that the sacks are not the end-all be-all to how good a player is going to be. They're great, but there has to be something bigger than that. I like the fact that there's these intangible things that we don't put on the stat sheet. Like, do they require double team pressure? Let's look at Khalil Mack. They're leaving tight ends in to slow him down. That's an intangible that you can't account for. Nobody's finna leave in a tight end to slow down Chandler Jones. Okay. Lions fan 75 says Amos and Callahan would be free agents because the Care Bears got a grand total of $5 million in cap space thanks to Mack. Again, that's why if Antonio Brown go to the Packers, I'm not mad. He's going to eat up their cap. It's going to destroy it with that contract. Because you imagine this. Put it this way: if 30% of your team's funds were delegated to the quarterback and a receiver, which is something that the Lions did, and I hated it because I thought that the Calvin Johnson contract, we should have just moved on from Calvin and got another receiver. But could you imagine that on the Green Bay Packers? They'll be in trouble for sure. So Hater's House. What up, though, Hater's House? Hater's House says draft a corner or DN, sign some other needs, feed carry on the ball, and the Lions would be fine. I definitely agree with the positions you're saying draft. And I definitely agree with feeding on the ball. I think where the buck drops for me is if I'm stuck at 8, do I really want to take a cornerback? Because let's say, for example, they go TJ Hockenson in the first and cornerback Julian Love in the second. I wouldn't be mad at that. I just wouldn't. And then let's say they went TJ Edwards or Khalil Hodge in the third, even though I got so much respect for Khalil Hodge, it's ridiculous. But let's say they did one of those two in the third. That's a good draft right there for me. Yes, yeah. And see, Hater House agree that cornerback at 8 is a risk for sure. And this ain't the season for risk. We need to have people who ready to roll. Period. So they said, Sagnath said, okay, so what you think about throwing the money at Flowers? I don't want to throw money at Flowers because to me, throwing the money at Flowers creates a bigger problem. You know what I'm saying? Like when you throwing this money at Flowers and you telling me I'm getting 7 sacks, if that's what y'all want to, use as your barometer, I'm asking, well, how many tackles for a loss? See, the one thing that they don't talk about is the tackles for a loss and the quarterback pressures, the quarterback hits. Those are numbers that let me know that you are disrupting the quarterback's environment. His pocket is uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? His pocket is uncomfortable. So I don't see that. Noble Sports says Kerryon would need help in the backfield. And I can assure you that there are a number of free agent running backs and drafted and undrafted running backs that the Lions will be able to get to assuredly fix that problem. And I for one would not be cool. I for one will be cool with that. Go Lions said he agreed with, on my draft. I appreciate it, man. I just think that makes the most sense in my opinion. The Packers will have negative cap, then they should do it. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Please go out and get Antonio Brown. Please do. Because not only y'all got to understand something. In order for them to get Antonio Brown, they're going to have to give up at least a second to a fourth. Now, if they get Antonio Brown for a fifth, I'd be shocked. But nonetheless, if it's a second, third, or fourth, they lose a draft pick, and now you got this dude's contract disrupting your cap. Yeah, I'll take that. Fox Sin G drafted Houston DN, D tackle, and signed Mosley and Collins and Roby. That's too many free agent big names for us to sign with $35 million. Now, let's say the salary cap go up and we end up being around $51 million. You could probably get about 2.5 of those players. In other words, meaning, let's say if you went at the Jodavian Clowney, CJ Mosley, you're not getting Collins. You may get Roby. But the problem with Jodavian Clowney is he is consistently had himself a lot of injuries and stuff that's capped him off the field. And he has not been as consistent as he was when JJ Watts is out there. It seems like when Watts is out there, he get real nasty. So I don't know. Now I like what Sag Nasty just said. Since we scheme sacks, I don't think DN is that high as a priority as we think it is. Exactly. The New England Patriots scheme their sacks. Like, that's why you saw Kyle Van Noy every time you look up touching the quarterback and being within the play. It's a scheme that's designed to get the sack. It's not the players per se. Noble Sports Entertainment says, I would take DeAndre Baker at 8. He's a playmaker. He certainly is a playmaker. You ain't gonna get no arguments out of me. Again, it's still a bigger ceiling for learning when it comes to that. Now, I did do film study on DeAndre Baker. I just didn't release it because I'm trying to get out the offensive players. But I can tell you this: DeAndre Baker got some flaws in this game that is very fixable but concerning. Marcus Willis says, I'm on a team, Mike Davis for backup running back. I ain't mad at that. I mean, I personally wouldn't take him, but I ain't mad at it either. Daryl Richards, I wouldn't be mad with Hawks at 8 because I think Ed Oliver might drop to the second round. I do too. But then the question becomes, do you want a diva D tackle? I mean, this guy was on film arguing with the head coach out of uniform and having to be pushed away and stuff like that. I don't think the Lions want the choir boys, the preacher's kids. And I don't think he fits that mold. But Ed Oliver, I can see that happening. Fox Sin said, I want Collins and CJ. Hey, you get no complaints out of me. Hey, I appreciate that. Hater House says, just first time catching me. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I got a lot of film studies coming up for some of the perspectives. If somebody you want me to look at, I'll add them to the queue. Right now, I'm working on offensive players. I'm going to start dropping my video, starting with tight ends. Watch film on Trey Flowers. He is always near the quarterback. That's right, because, see, Beast Mode makes that point, but Beast Mode, you got to understand, he's schemed to be in that position. And that's what Sack Nasty is pointing out. Moses Martinez, Julian Love look like the most complete corner in this draft. I agree with you. And Love first and second. To me, Julian Love just does his job. Julian Love reminds me so much of Byron Jones, a person who should be getting more hype, but don't. But he do his job, and it's crazy to me. Now, I like Noble Sports Entertainment's point of view, where he says, I'm not looking for big names. I only want playmakers and dog mentality guys. That's all I want. Yeah, that's all I want too. I want somebody who's got a bad attitude, who wants to do something that's disruptive, that is absolutely unapologetic about his bad boy side when it comes to the field. You know, I don't want nobody who on the field, on the side, plotting criminal activity and criminal organizations. I don't want that. But on the field, I want you to be nasty. Lions fan 75 says, exactly why Matt P values secondary and linebackers more. The backers get the most sacks. That's why I think they go secondary in free agency and maybe another backer. And that's people who are paying attention to the scheme. You see, when you scheme yourself open, that's what you get. That's why I said I don't understand why people have an issue with the Lions taking a tight end with the first pick. Like if their argument is, oh, we don't do a good job of drafting tight ends. Well, the truth is we should have never took Brandon Pettigrew, but Brandon Pettigrew was supposed to be this pass blocking, run blocking, catching tight end. And when I watched films, I didn't see that. The Lions was doing what they always do and listen to the media at that time. Okay. When they took Eric Ebron, they was looking at the fact that, okay, here go Jimmy Graham, a guy who played basketball. He looked great. Let's go after him. I didn't see that with Eric Ebron. I saw a guy who had the speed, but I saw a guy who didn't always run the right route. I saw a guy who did drop a lot of passes, and that was his tag when he came out. They didn't have a coach to fix that. So I'm not going to be scared off from a tight end because of those two. It's not enough. Right. And see, Sagnanti points out, he said, and that's my problem with the Lions. They basically tell me that people like me couldn't play for the team. Ferguson got into a fight and gets barred, more than likely won't even look his way. And to me, Ferguson is a monster. He's a monster that fits exactly what they do. Somebody that if I ask you to blitz can get home. How about the Lions, Landon Collins, K'Wan Alexander? Now, correct me if I'm right or wrong, but K'Wan Alexander ain't no free agent, is he? I go and look, but I don't think K'Wan Alexander is a free agent. And if he is, now that would be an interesting pickup because the question becomes, can he stay healthy? Can he be healthy enough to come in and contribute to the team? And if the answer is no, then I'm probably saying, no, we got to stay away from him. Now, mind you, I keep telling y'all, I am a Lions fan, but I'm also a Seahawks and Buccaneers fan. And I follow all three teams very hard. And K'Wan Alexander has had some nagging injuries that makes me wonder sometimes. Like, how is it that he can't stay on the field? So, if that's the case, cool, but I don't know for sure if he's a free agent because I'm not off the top of my head looking at it, but I'm going to check it out and find out. Let's see what we got going on right here. Draft Murphy in the second or third. Fox saying Murphy won't be there in the second or third round, Fox. Murphy won't be there. I can assure you that won't happen. Yeah, it's no way I see Murphy making it to the second or third round. I would be pleasantly surprised if he's there in the second round. That'll be the one time I'll be screaming at the TV, please trade up. Please trade up. He made it to the second round. Trade up right now. Pettigrew balled out at the combine. Again, that he did, but the film didn't show that. That's the difference. And let's see. We got Deron Davis. What up, though, Deron Davis? Deron Davis comes in and he says, get rid of Stafford. Now, my question to you, Mr. Deron Davis, for who? If you're getting rid of Matthew Stafford, who are you replacing him with, Mr. Deron Davis? Stafford is a top 10 quarterback. So I want to know who you replacing him with. If you say Kyler Murray, let me know. I want to know who you replacing him with. Anybody. Oh, man. Well, if anybody could have won for us, we wouldn't even had a need to draft Stafford. We had John Kitna. We had Jeff Garcia. I mean, look at the number of quarterbacks the Lions have had over the years, and the Lions fan base have blamed every single one of them. Now, Deron Davis says he's a bum. Well, I can show you undisputed evidence that would suggest otherwise, but hey, if that's your opinion, we about facts here. You got to support that with something. Why you say he's a bum, Deron? I don't see a bum quarterback. Let me put it this way: if he's such a bum, do you believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars would take him? If the answer is yes, that's one team. Do you believe that the Bengals would take him? If the answer is yes, that's one thing. Do you believe that the Vikings would rather have him over Kirk Cousins? If the answer is yes, that's three teams. Now he said the man is past his prime. That may be true. That may be true. I don't quite see that he's past his prime. I see a guy who has never had a legitimate tight end and has never had a legitimate run game. That's what I see. We got 313 T Jackson in the house. What up, though? We got Bulb Spray. What up, though? Do the Lions stay at 8 or move back? I believe they trade that pick, man. That pick goes. I really cold-heartedly believe they trade that pick. How about the cornerback from Penn State, Marcus Willis? Oh, yeah, I like him. I can't pronounce his name right without actually seeing it. Amani Olawale or something like that. Yeah, I like him. He'll be there in the second round. You know, that's close enough. I can see that. Darryl Richards agreed too. Nobody wants him. None of the quarterbacks you mentioned. I put it this way right now. Deron Davis, I put it this way. If Matthew Stafford was cut by the Detroit Lions, okay, and I can go into any other chat, not this one, but I bet you if he was cut by the Detroit Lions, he would instantly be the top free agent in the market. And I can name a number of teams who would love to have him. From the Dolphins to the Bengals to the Jacksonville Jaguars to the Redskins. Excuse me. The Cardinals. There are so many teams who would love to have him. But you know, I can think of. I can even go down a long list. And if you Deron Davis, if you go and check out my video I did, it's a 3-part video called Put Respect on Matthew Stafford's Name. I give all fact-based evidence on why he's not the problem and why he needs to have more respect in his town. I think what happens is our local media are the ones who trash him in such a way because they put stats on him that's not real. Win-loss record for a quarterback is not real. To me, how can you put a win-loss record on a quarterback when you got kickers missing field goals? You got receivers fumbling the ball. I mean, why should Ben Roethlisberger have a win-loss record when Juju Smith-Schuster fumbles? Why don't the win-loss record go to the receiver? And like Lions fan 75 said, last time I checked, it's a team game. It's just crazy to me. Michael Christian, what up, though? Welcome to the show. But like I said, the list goes on for things. It says no, we gave him the longest, and he thrown INTs. Deron Davis, let me point this out to you, okay? Let me point this out to you. When it comes to Stafford, I want you to understand something. Everybody says, "Oh, well, he's been here 10 years." He has been here 10 years. But his first year, he got hurt and only played 3 games. So we can throw that out the window because he got destroyed. I mean, anybody know and what happened to him, they know what happened. And then the second year, he was playing, doing well, and got hurt again. Okay? Now, in that entire time of that happened, that means he has 8 years out of the 10. And in that 8 years, he's made the playoffs 3 times, right? But the thing about it is, the 3 times he made the playoffs, he's never had a run game. In fact, the highest rushing attack that he has ever had is the highest rushing attack he has ever had has been in the 20s. He has never had a top 5, never had a top 10, never had a top 15 rushing attack. He has had a top 20 rushing attack just one time, and outside of that one top 20 rushing attack, they have been dead last in rushing. He has never had a tight end. He has been amongst the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. And on top of all that, when he had a top defense, the top defense only rated top in terms of sacks and the rushing yard, but teams wasn't rushing. They was too busy with this passing thing. But I can assure you that the evidence is not there. Now, the reason we can't open the pass game up is because we're one-dimensional. And one of the things that jumps out to me is, and I agree with John Cena, they need to stop with this Matthew Stafford must go stuff. But the reason we couldn't open the pass game up is because of an offensive coordinator who I refuse to say his name anymore. The previous coordinators were trash. In fact, if you go through and you just look at when we had a semblance of a passing attack, i.e. Scott Linehan, who was terrible, but he had that 1 year where Stafford threw for 5,000 yards and 45 touchdowns. I said, if you go and look at that year, they didn't have no rushing attack that time. So the reason that the pass does not open up is because of predictable play calling and because that people know that we can't run the ball. Like when we go and put Theo Reddick in, defenses pretty much know that 70 to 80% of the time it's a pass. And then when we throw in, say, another running back, they know that it's a run. So it's predictable to shut that down. That's the biggest difference. No, he and Deron Davis says so. He has no blame for anything. No, he gets blamed for stuff. Don't get me wrong. Has he thrown an ugly interception? Yeah. What quarterback hasn't? Has he had a costly fumble? Yeah. What quarterback hasn't? But when it comes to winning and losing in the production of the offense, you don't just blame that on one player. Now, I'll show you when you blame it on one player. Let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. When you go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, you telling me with that defense, that rushing attack, Blake Bortles couldn't get it done? That's different. That's when you judge the quarterback. See, when you got a rushing attack, and he had rushing attack tight ends in a defense, Blake Bortles did, and he was serving that ball up for no reason, holding on for it too long, taking unnecessary sacks, running unnecessary, and they just couldn't get over the hump with him. Then you blame it on him. You know what I mean? That's when I put the blame on him. And Deron Davis said, but they run the same plays all the time. True, but when you run something a lot of the time, like for example, right? Like if you're in a relationship and you know for a fact that your girl get off work at 7 and she get home at 9. When the day comes and she don't get home till 11, and then the next day she don't get home until 12, you get suspicious because you know her pattern, you know her behavior. You got to understand that a lot of the times there are things that are outside of the quarterback's hand. And like I said, just go back and look at Mitchell Trubisky in the playoffs against the Eagles. He had 300 passing yards and a touchdown. You know what I mean? They ran the ball 9 times, you know, and gave the ball once to Tariq Cohen. They lost. So now we're going to blame that on the quarterback? Not to mention the kicker missed some kicks. You know? So, and he said, I'm a Lions fan. I don't really care about no other team. But lessons can be learned from history and patterns. Let's see what we got going on here. Now, it says, when Schwartz threw that challenge flag versus the Texans, he sealed his fate. Yeah, that's true. I think the Lions need to sign Teddy Bridgewater to back up Matthew Stafford, Marcus Willis say. Marcus Willis, I'm going to disagree with you on this premise alone. No need to sign Teddy Bridgewater when you signed Connor Cook already. So, you know, I don't think you need to sign Teddy Bridgewater too. Deron Davis says he won't check down, call audibles or nothing. That's just not true. Deron, I can show you footage. George Morgan says that Jets butt fumbles when you judge someone. Absolutely. But I can show you footage of him audible in the play, which is what he did in the Chicago Bears game. And then the tight end run the most lazy, inaccurate route I ever seen in my life because he figured the ball wasn't coming towards him. And people don't realize a lot of these interceptions can be a number of things. Sometimes defenses are good. They players too. And sometimes the player runs the wrong route, which is why Antonio Brown wants to be out of Pittsburgh because he got tired of Ben Roethlisberger calling him out when he make a mistake. But he like, I ain't calling you out when you make mistakes. So I get it. Trubisky is the biggest reason why they lost that playoff game. Absolutely, he wasn't the best, but I'm just saying if we go by the numbers, then that's another story. So to kind of switch it off Matthew Stafford, let's change it back to something that I want to bring up. And I think this will be the last topic before I close out this live stream. All right. Now, this is what I want to talk about right here, people, because this right here really had me thinking. Okay. And I just want to know, in y'all opinion, what is more important? Is it more important that you have good players or good coaching? Because I can make the argument for good coaching being the legit reason that teams win. When I go through and I look at rosters such as the Bengals, the Dallas Cowboys, hell, even the Rams, those teams had tons of talent that wasn't winning. And then when the Rams got a good coach, they started winning. The Browns have a very good roster, wasn't doing much or nothing. Then they get a somewhat competent coach who can be creative, and they started getting some wins in there. I think coaching, like Hater House said, good coaching can overcome a lot. And I believe that. I believe that. I believe that having players is good. Deron Davis said chemistry is a must. You're gonna have chemistry through coaching. If you could bring people together, then that's the biggest thing for me. I think coaching hands down, because look at those teams the New England Patriots have had. They ain't had the best names, but that coaching is so solid. It's so solid. I remember the years of the Jets sucking, then get Rex Ryan, and all of a sudden, new coach, they get a new life. They doing some big things. Even the Detroit Lions, when Jim Schwartz came in initially, he had changed so many things. I think his biggest mistake was he wasn't picking the right people. Noble Sports says, I don't trust Connor Cook. We also get mediocre quarterbacks. We need a quarterback who will light a fire under Matthew Stafford's butt. Then you drafted him then. And if you're asking me what quarterback you can draft this year and probably get him late, is Tyree Jackson from Buffalo. That would be my pick. In the NFL, even good coaching needs competent players. That is true. That is true, and that's why New England constantly moves competent players out. But competent players versus really good players are two different things. Like Calvin Noy gets the job done in New England, but would it be better if they say had Khalil Mack playing that role? Yeah, but they still won the Super Bowl without a Khalil Mack. That's what I mean when it comes to good players versus coaching. Let me see. Then we got Darryl Richard. A great coach makes a huge difference, but good coaches are rare. That is true. They are hard to find, and you got to be able to find them and be consistent. Lions fan 75 says, but you still need talent. Can't have a team full of rejects, but you need good coaching. That's also true. Again, good coaching versus good players. Like if you were to take a Pro Bowl team and say, let their head coach be Jeff Fisher, and you were to take the Senior Bowl squad and give them Bill Belichick, I'm gonna bet my money on Bill Belichick's team. So and yeah, second answer, you spot on. They use Van Noy absolutely inaccurately. I don't know why they picked him up. But again, the video is already hitting an hour and 20-something minutes, and I don't want to make it too much longer. So anything else y'all want to address so we can have this open discussion? Again, we are going to have another live session. It's going to probably either be on Derek P. Fields' channel or Noble Sports Entertainment channel, where all three of us come together and have an open discussion. And we love for our fans and the subscribers to come across platforms and have an open discussion that's honest. So let's see what else we're gonna talk about. Van Noy was coached up by Matty P. I mean, I can't be arguing with that. Noble Sports says, I want a backup who challenged Matthew Stafford. I do agree that there needs to be a backup that challenges Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford needs to have somebody to put fear in him to not make mistakes. Again, I know that Deron Davis believes that I don't put any blame on Stafford. I do put blame on Stafford. I just don't believe that he needs to be moved for us to have success. And if we're going to move him, you need to have somebody better, And to me, I don't know who that better person is, because when I go through and look at it, not too many people can win with minimum stuff like he has been able to do. If we trade back, what do you think we get in return? All right, so this is a very good question by Sack Nasty. If we trade back, what will we get in return? How far are we going back? If you're talking about us trading back with, say, a team like the Raiders, you may be talking about a first this year to trade down, a first and second this year to trade down, and the first next year. I don't think the Raiders are going to give up both first this year, but I think that they would be willing to give up a first and a second this year and a first next year, or a first, second this year, and a second next year. I would take that too. I would take that still. Now, if you're talking about the Redskins, you're going to take their first and maybe a third or a fourth, and you probably have to give up a sixth or a seventh. And I'm gonna have to do a video showing how the point system works for that. We got Chris Metry wasting way too much time discussing Stafford. He's a terrific player, great mindset and all, need skills. Let's move on to areas of need and let these guys argue in another forum. Yeah, I agree with that. We got Lions run the football more and would like to draft an extra or sign. To me, running the football has been what's been winning games the entire time. I did a video where I was breaking down Matthew Stafford, and I said, listen, man, I went through 21 years of Super Bowls. 21 years of Super Bowls and playoffs, and all the teams who won ran the ball. It's crazy. Even this year alone, all the teams who won this year ran the ball consistently and aggressively. And to me, that is a clear-cut way to win. Even when teams had poor quarterback play, they were still winning because of the run. That's how the Cowboys were doing it. That's how the Jacksonville Jaguars were doing it. The Denver Broncos was doing it. Do anybody realize that the last year that Peyton Manning won his Super Bowl, that he sucked in that Super Bowl? I mean, if it was up to him, they lost. But that defense and the run game is what won those games. And that's the thing. That's the thing that people don't realize. Now, Hater House said they need to cut Nav Lawson. Nav Lawson will be cut. I'm pretty sure, because he gives you a pretty good penny back. And I think I did a video showing that too, the breakdown of what it's going to cost to get rid of him. I think that's on my video that I did of Glover Quinn when I broke down how much money we got for releasing him. And then I see that we got. I wouldn't take neither less than a third, depending on what they draft. I can see that. Lions fan 75 says, I was told it was a passing league. And let me just tell y'all something. I'm gonna show y'all how the media works. Okay, the media works in a very strange way, and this is what I mean by that. So when I played football and I played college football, when I was away from the great state of Michigan, I would have people ask me all these questions, and they had all these assumptions about the city of Detroit. Oh, Detroit this, Detroit that, Detroit this. Now, I have lived in Detroit my entire life, and I've never, every city and state has a bad area. It's just a known fact. It happens. And what I started noticing was that people, what they hear and how they interpret it is always based on what's most familiar with them. So when something would happen and say a place like Ann Arbor, instead of saying Ann Arbor, the media will say in Metro Detroit. So now what happens is people hear the Detroit part and say, oh, that happened in Detroit, not realizing that Detroit and Ann Arbor have a nice little ways of separation. And then what happens is they tell people, oh, well, it's a passing league, right? But then when you go through and look at the teams winning, they're running the ball. But the fans are being told it's a passing league. Now, this goes into the agenda of fantasy sports. Because if I tell you it's a passing league, my fantasy sports numbers go up. I get more revenues for that. Because guess what? At the end of the day, that revenue that goes up ends up becoming more reason for me to push this narrative that it's a passing league. And it's just not true. This league has been won the old school way. Defense and running the ball, controlling time of possession, and that's what's winning these games. And when you go through and look at most winners, I guarantee you they're winning time of possession. And those are just the facts. How would you like Devin White at 8? What up, though, Ben Stridis? Welcome to the show. Bruce Holmes, welcome to the show. Devin White at 8. I was originally on the Devin White train at 8. Now, my problem with Devin White is He over pursues way too often, and he does not have that pop. I believe I did a film study on him, but I think at the end of the day, if you're telling me that I can get, say, a TJ Edwards in a later round or Khalil Hodge, I would rather have them over Devin White. Not saying Devin White is a bad player, but I think if we're stuck at 8, you need to get a player who's going to come in and have an impact. And when I look at Devin White, I see too often him over pursuing and clean up tackles, and that's just me. We got Bruce Holmes, all luck. Hit that subscribe button, brother, and let's get up in here. We keep this conversation going. John Simmons, he looks too much like Jared Davis. I agree. I totally agree that Devin White looks like Jared Davis, over pursuing, over running. I mean, they react pretty good, but golly, man, I like I said, I try my best to make those film studies short. It's really hard to make a film study short because I got called out a couple of days ago for the Greedy Williams one. They said that, oh, you didn't mention game time situations. I'm like, I could do that, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to get this video to be as short as possible while pointing out the patterns that I've seen and challenging my subscribers to go and watch film and tell me that they don't see the same things from game to game. Bruce Holmes, we don't need anyone who over pursue. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, saints. That's what, yeah. Don't need that at all. Lions fans said they say it's an offensive league. Yeah. But it's funny how the team that won the Super Bowl held that team to 3 points. So much offense. They shut that whole entire offense down and held them to 3 points. But, cool. Go Lions say running the ball in football one-on-one. That's all it is. From Little League to the pros. Run the ball, you win the game. That's what the Dallas Cowboys did when they ran their dynasty. And that's exactly what New England does. Mars Landon. Oh, yeah, I made it in. Hello to my pride. What's going on, Mars? You barely made it, man. I was getting ready to cut it off in a few. Let's see. I think you should talk while it's running and not keep stopping the video, but you do a good job, my brother. You know what? I am. I think I think the reason why I stop it so many times is a lot of times I had got somebody I had got a few people who said that I didn't get them enough time to see it. So I stopped the video to kind of get them a chance to get their eyes to track it. And then I try to let it run. But I think I figured out a formula that's going to work. So going forward, all my videos will be basically film reviews focusing on the players good, bad, and ugly. In other words, what they do good, what they do bad that could be worked on, and what they did that was so ugly, it gives me cause for concern. So you should make videos on it. Offensive league narrative. You know what? I thought about that. That's cool. That's cool. That's what's up. I appreciate that, Mars. Replay it, man. We had some good talking here, man. Let's see. I seen something saying if we tag Okor, we can get a first or a second. I saw that too, but did you see the whole scenario for that to happen? We would have to tag Okor, and then we would have to sign him to a certain contract, which is somehow backdoor for a compensatory pick. And it's a little confusing for me. It's just weird to try to follow that approach. But I did see that and I went, huh? And I think that first or second doesn't fall in this year's draft. I think it falls in the following year, if I'm not mistaken. But I did see that and I thought that was weird. Football blueprint is run the damn ball and a great defense. Championship formula. That has been consistent. Majority of the championship teams who won ran the ball and played defense. Facts. It says all the talk right now is about how Detroit don't believe in Stafford anymore, and that the writers and radio heads, true fans, know number 9 is our guy. Okay. Do you think TJ Lang is gone? Yes. TJ Lang is gone. He has to go. Even if he is not gone, he has to go. I mean, you can't stay healthy. You can't stay on the field. And you take up a nice good chunk of our money. I forgot what the percentage is. I can always go back and look, but you take up a nice percentage of our money. So no, he can go. I've seen it was like 4.4, which isn't bad. It's like paying to pick up a few extra bucks. Yeah, true. Do you have any bold predictions this season? I actually do. Here go our bold prediction. Hater House asked, "Do I have any bold predictions this season?" Here's my bold prediction: the Detroit Lions will win 11 games. I am going to discuss how I came up to this 11 wins, and I'm going to tell you how they're going to do it. Here's another bold prediction, and I think that many people may not think that this is bold, but I think it is very bold. I believe that the Detroit Lions will make a trade that some of us are not going to see coming, and we would be pleasantly surprised. And that trade is, I believe that the Detroit Lions will make a trade to pick up, drum roll, ding. I actually believe that the Detroit Lions are going to make a trade to pick up wide receiver Sammy Watkins. Now, my reasons for that is it's going to come cheap, and the Lions are looking for somebody with speed to put in the slot. And Sammy Watkins has not shown that he can hold up, and I think that they're going to do that. So that's my bold prediction right there. But I have some other bold predictions, but I was saving that for a different show for the roundtable. So that's good right there. Lions fans 75, Cameron Brake. He's cool, but again, there's a few tight ends in this draft that I would rather have over him. And if you're telling me we having him in addition to drafting the tight end, then great. Because we need him. We only got no tight ends, literally. Let's see what we got right here. Bruce Holmes, TJ Jones might be gone too. Yeah. TJ Jones is going to get a shot to go and be somewhere where he get more playing time. He's been here faithful to the Detroit Lions, and I think he's going to look to move on. Don't say Marvin Jones. No, I'm not going to say that. Let's see. Hell no. Like, we might as well get John Brown. Yeah, but the thing is John Brown, in my opinion, still, he doesn't have the height that the Lions like, and I don't think that they're going to go with him because he doesn't have the height. Yeah, he got the speed, but his route runner is not as clean as Watkins. Let's see. We got my bold prediction is Brandon Powell gets 600 yards and 5 TDs. Hey, Marlon, I don't know if that's bold. I mean, that seems very plausible. Very, very plausible. What about Adam Humphries? Lions fan 75 says, what about Adam? As a Buccaneers fan, I had enough of Adam Humphries. I mean, he wasn't better than Cole Beasley. He wasn't better than any of the slower slot receivers. And I just don't think that we should exhaust so much energy on Humphries. Like I don't. When I watch Buccaneers games and stuff, I'd be like, yo, why can't this dude just create separation? So I'm not a big fan of him. Let's see what else we got in here. What kind of wide receiver do you think we look for in the draft? I say an outside receiver. The receiver who runs at least a 4.5 and has over 6 feet height. They have an infatuation with taller receivers. When you got a quarterback with a big arm like Matthew Stafford, you want people who can get up and get the ball. And I think they follow that trend. Marcus Willis says Jacoby Myers would be a good draft pick in the later rounds. That's if we don't take a receiver early on. Yeah, I can see that. But I do like Andy Isabella. I do like it's actually a few receivers I like that I think we can get in the later rounds. But again, that just depends on it's really dependent upon height. And if they're not tall, they got to be route running technicians. D. Williams, what up? Welcome to the show, sir. What up, though? He says tight end tight end at pick 8 and DN and cornerback and free agency. Thoughts? Tight end at pick 8 makes the most sense to me, D. Williams. And taking the DN and cornerback and free agency would not be a bad idea. The cornerback, particularly, because I think we need a veteran cornerback to play opposite of Slay. Whereas with the DN, depending on who the DN we get. So that would be my guess. Daryl Richard says, my bold prediction is Stafford is going to shut all the haters up. Listen, once you listen, all I can say is Stafford has been on the Detroit Lions going on 11 years, and it's only had a 100-yard rusher 10 times. And he's 9-1, and the one game he lost was to the Tennessee Titans after his kicker missed a field goal. So that lets you know something about those facts. Let's see. Lions fan 75, Riley Ridley, do a film session on him. He is in my queue for a film session, Lions fan 75. He's in there, and the guy who just hurt his who's getting the surgery, Hollywood Brown, he's on my queue. You know, I appreciate it, Go Lions. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying my best to just stick to the facts, man. Anything outside the facts, I don't want to talk about. 313 T Jackson says, what about Flowers? We address Flowers, and again, I just don't see why there's this big move for Flowers. You know what I'm saying? Like in this draft, there's a number of DNs, outside linebackers we can replace, and a lot of those sacks and stuff you're going to see are going to come from scheme. And if you scheme it right, I'm telling you, you don't need to go out and cash flow on a free agent person like Trey Flowers. Now, because you are replacing Golden Tate, let's see. All right, let me see. Mars Leonard, one Stafford gets protection in the run game. He good to go. Yep. If we pick tight end, we should trade back for more picks. Here's the thing. I think tight end would be the pick if we can't trade back. If we do trade back, then a first-round pick for me would then change. And when that first-round pick changed, I would then tell you who we're taking for a tight end in the later rounds. But again, the trade back's got to happen first. And I think what the Lions is doing is trying to see how free agency go, and so are other teams before they start talking trade talks. But I think the Lions already know who's willing to be traded. Debo Samuels is also a guy who's asked. I was requested to do a film session on, and I have him in my queue as well. Bold move, Marvin and a 6 for a third and grab little Jordan Humphreys. Whoa, that would be a bold move because I would be ticked. The cap hit that you're going to take for moving on from Marvin Jones is going to be interesting. But little Jordan Humphreys do have a unique skill set to jump up and get the ball, but his route running is very suspect. And let's see, DK Metcalf, I don't think we have a shot at him unless we take him in the first. So I don't want to do. I really only want to do film session on people I really think we have a shot at taking. But if you just want to see it, then ask and you shall receive. Powell can help and can get John Brown to fill the slot, but we don't have outside depth. Okay. Noble Sports said he liked Parrish Campbell as an outside. I think Parrish Campbell's a slot receiver. Yes, he has great speed. But when I watched Ohio State, I felt like it was very easy for people to redirect him, whether it be within that 5-yard range or impressed. And he didn't do a very good job of that. Marcus Willis, would you pick Noah Fant if Hockenson is gone? Yes. Yeah, I would. Is he as polished of a blocker as Hockenson? No. But does he have a big enough body to make the catches, to run the routes, and to get open? Yeah, he does. So yeah, I would take him. Absolutely. Moses Martinez, check out Terry McCullum from OSU. I think that's the first time I got a request for him. So I'll add him to the queue for receivers because I would have to kind of see what his draft positioning looks like and what the film say. In the mock draft, how do you think Bosa would fit with us? If somehow Bosa fell to the Detroit Lions, he would be a left end. And I think where his fit would come in that is how they scheme the blitz off his side to get him one-on-ones. But that's going to be contingent upon who they put opposite at the right end. So if they do go out and re-sign an Ndamukong Suh and put him at a right end, he'll be similar. Suh would kind of give you that same aspect where they would have to keep a tight end in to watch Suh because Suh can win his one-on-one, thus effectively giving Nick Bosa a chance to get after the quarterback. Fenton or Irv, if we drop back, would work. Absolutely, George Morgan. I agree with that. And then Sag Nasty, I don't want both of them. MFs aren't durable. That seemed to be a case. That seemed to be the biggest argument for me. Can you be on the field? I can't take any time waiting on people to be healthy. Mars Landon says, I want defense. What about Dakota Ellen? I do like Dakota Ellen. I think he's a very rangy person. I think he compares to Mark Berrien for the Rams. I did add him to the queue because I saw that you asked for him, Mars. So he's in that queue too. Right now, I'm just trying to knock out some of these offensive players because I noticed I did a lot of film session on defensive players. And then we have, do I like Fent more than Irv? No, I like Irv more than Fent. I think Fent is a better blocker than Irv, but I think Irv is more explosive at the tight end position. Campbell's a slot receiver. Yeah, I know he is, and that's why I say we should have him. Sag Nasty, were you able to watch Jermaine Pratt? I did. I was very impressed with Jermaine Pratt. There were some things that I saw that made me go, but for the most part, I was very impressed with his ability to get in and out of his cuts and get to the ball. So I did watch him. There goes Moby. Are y'all really talking about drafting a tight end in the first round? Yes, we are talking about drafting a tight end in the first round because the question becomes, when was the last time the Lions have had a legitimate tight end? Like, I think you get to go all the way back to like Sanders. Like, that's how far you have to go back. So, what up, though? There goes Moby. Welcome to the show. But yeah, I think tight end is a huge one. Hakeem Butler is a nice receiver. Yes, he is. Veteran cornerback Kareem Jackson. Thoughts? Kareem Jackson to me is better served, in my opinion, when you have good safety play. If you don't have good safety play, then leaving Kareem Jackson on the island is not a good thing. But I wouldn't be mad if we got him though. There goes Moby says that tight end at 8 is not going to happen. I mean, you could be very much right about that. There's a very good chance that it's not going to happen. And it's not like we can truly predict it. But if they did do it, I wouldn't be upset. I mean, are you saying you would be upset if they did take a tight end and there goes Moby? Because I wouldn't be upset. Mike Cooper, y'all tripping if y'all pick a tight end at 8. I mean, it sounds crazy until the pick is right. The objective in any draft is to get the pick right. That's the point of the draft. If they draft, like I remember people laughed at the Oakland Raiders when they took was it Jakowski? Who's the kicker they took? Like a high. Everybody said they was crazy, and he was making 65, 66-yard field goals. Was they crazy then? People said that the Seattle Seahawks was crazy for taking Bruce Irvin. They didn't seem crazy then. There were people who talked about, taking Zeke Ansah was a risk because he's a project. I mean, when he was with Suh, he seemed pretty okay. So, I don't think it's crazy to think that that we would take a tight end. I don't. Mike Cooper says DeAndre Baker in the second round edge rusher. I love me some DeAndre Baker. I think he's probably the second to third best cornerback in this draft. There goes Mobby. We ran a 3-4 and only got 2 linebackers. Y'all talking about a tight end, laughing out loud. Listen, I agree with you, but would it be a fair assessment to say that this draft has pretty much a nice depth at those positions. And there are people like Khalil Hodge, TJ Edwards, Dakota Ellen, that will be able to fit those needs that you don't have to, go crazy and take a guy like Devin White. And I did do film session on Devin White as well. So I'm just saying, Ferris Elkaside, what up, though? Welcome to the show. Says, hello, brother. We need to get that tight end. I agree. TJ Hockenson is just not your average run-of-the-mill tight end. This dude is complete. He blocks in the pass game. He blocks in the run game. He catches in traffic. When's the last time the tight ends had the Lions had a tight end that catch in traffic? Like the linebacker I can see us taking, the only one I can see us taking in the first round, in all honesty, is like Devin White, especially if we stuck at 8. Now, if we trade back, like I said, that window is wide open. But I agree with Ferris says Hawkinson guy, we in the Super Bowl. There goes Moby. In this system, your linebackers have to be your best players on the defense and your safety second. See, there goes Moby. I agree with that. I do believe that in this system, that's why I made the argument that why would we go out and go crazy and spend money on Trey Flowers when most of our pressure is going to be schemed coming from the linebackers? And that was something I made an argument of earlier. So hopefully if you get a chance, you can go back, you can catch some of the earlier conversation. Bruce Holmes says Devin White equals Jared Davis. I agree. It says I'm cool on 2 JDs though. I ain't mad at you. Marcus Willis, look out for DN linebacker from Texas. DN linebacker. You talking about Jadavian Clowney? Yeah, he gonna cost us. Again, we only got $35 million, so you got to make that money stretch and you got to use it wisely. Zach Nancy, I like Jermaine Pratt for our linebacker. He was converted from safety, has cover skills, and can tackle. Yeah, like I said, the options are there. So it's not like it's crazy to think that taking a tight end at 8 is crazy. And that's why I brought it up in conversation. Why do y'all, do y'all really want the Lions on Hard Knocks? And what's wrong with drafting a tight end? Well, I mean, what's wrong with that? Texas University. Let's see. The corner from Temple. What's the corner from Temple's name, Mike Cooper? I'm trying to make sure I'm thinking of the right person. Like, that's what I'm trying to think of. A lot of good players available in free agent. It is. This is the thing about offseason, people. It's a whole new slate. It's a blank canvas for you to rewrite the code. But if you follow the patterns, you follow the trends, you're able to see what's happening more clearly. You're able to see who are in the running for being picked and who's not. And to me, that's how you figure out this whole thing. Now, Hater House says, I think taking a tight end at 8 is a huge risk only because historically it has never worked out. Tight end in top 10. Historically, I don't know if that's necessarily true per se, but I can see what you're saying, Hater House, what you're saying. In most recent history, yes. But for every mistake that you have there is still opportunity for people who have hit on those first round picks. I mean, the Jeremy Shockeys, there's been some people who have come in first round picks and been just perfectly fine, like literally. So, my only problem with taking a tight end at 8 is that there is so much depth in this draft. Okay, so are you saying that so are you saying that there's enough depth that you don't need to take a tight end, or there's so much depth at tight end in this draft? Yeah, but the trick is not to get the depth at tight end, but to get the pick right. That's to get the pick right. And, that's what you want to do. Now there goes Mobby says, listen, if Bob Quinn changes his name to Martin Mayhew, we'll draft a tight end in the first round. There goes Mobby. Let me ask you, who would you rather them take with that pick if they're stuck at 8? If they're stuck at 8, who do you believe that we can select that comes in and do the following? Give you instant impact and give you the most bang for your buck at 8. Who would you take at that point? Ferris Elka says, it don't matter. The guy is one of a kind. I agree, man. TJ Hockenson is not, I'm telling you, he's not just a normal person. Noble Sports says pass rush should be the #1 goal in the draft. I disagree with that, Noble Sports. We probably have to bring that up in our roundtable conversation. I totally disagree with that. And I think my reason with that is our pass rush is going to come from so many different areas, not just the D line. And if you try to focus on trying to just be a pass rushing team, then you're going to probably end up one-sided on defense. We don't want that. There goes Mobby says we need to trade back and draft DeAndre Baker. I can't get mad at that. Like I said, if we trade back, which I believe, like I said, if I believe that we will trade that pick, I can't get mad at that. There goes Mobby that they trade back and get anybody. I don't care. He says, listen, nobody is stuck in the top 10. I don't believe that to be the case neither. Daryl Richards, DeAndre Walker, outside linebacker from Georgia. Thoughts? I like him. He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper that I like. The only thing about him I do not like is his footwork and how he changes his direction. His feet get jumbled up, and it allows for him to get caught up in traffic sometimes. And let's see. There goes Mobby second too. Okay. I just want to get this year right. And I think that's the point, Mars. That's the point of having this open conversation, is to get the pick right. I think that's what it boils down to. It's getting that pick right. I don't care who it is, just get it right. Quinn was going to trade for old ass Gronkowski. Yeah, because we need a tight end that bad. That's how bad we needed a tight end, that he was willing to trade for old guy who's injury prone, because we needed a tight end that bad. There was no threat at tight end. Second round, plenty of linebacker depth, and third round, y'all can have y'all tight end. Honestly, I think that tight end in the third round is the most likely approach. However, if you telling me that the Green Bay Packers mess around and take TJ Hockenson, I'm gonna be upset. The thing about Hockenson that makes him special is he's a nightmare for linebackers. Okay. And when you can find a tight end who's not just a big body, but has the route ability and run at the catch and blocking ability, you have to take him. Noble Sports Entertainment says he's taking Baker. If they trade back, yeah. But at 8, I don't want no parts of that. The Lions don't have anybody who can get to the quarterback and put pressure on him. I believe that they do, but I think that they just have to work on getting the system together. Ferris Equalize said, also must Khalil Hodge. Yeah, I need Khalil Hodge in my life. He's the best linebacker in this draft, in my opinion. George Morgan, Hockenson is an every play tight end. I totally agree with that. I'm telling you, listen. The fans who say that the Lions are crazy if they take a tight end at 8, I argue what tight end that you can take that you feel is going to be the total package like Hockenson is. Because I can go and show you the footage of Hockenson making catches that I can show you other tight ends in that same situation not making. I can show you footage of Hockenson punishing people that he blocking. I can't say that for too many other tight ends in this draft. Chris Mentry, I love to trade back out of the 8th spot, but I just think any of these quarterbacks are good enough for a team to move up. I hope so. And to me, the thing that made the 8th pick so valuable is Kyler Murray. If for some reason Kyler Murray gets taken, and then now the next 2 people is from Duke and Ohio State, yeah, your pick is still valuable. Lee B, what up, though? Welcome to the show. Lee B says, I agree with Bruce. Need to land that tight end. There goes Mobby says tight ends and wide receivers don't win championships. Quarterbacks, running backs, and defense do. Well, there goes Mobby. Let me ask you this. If tight ends and receivers don't win championships, then who's the quarterback throwing the ball to? Because to me, you have to have somebody to complete the connection. It's like electricity. You need a negative and a positive. Something has to offset each other. The receiving core is contingent upon the quarterback, and the quarterback is contingent upon the receiving core. Now, running the ball in defense absolutely win games. It's been proven time in and time out. Without doubt. But as of right now, we have just hit the 2-hour mark, people. And I still work a 9 to 5. So I'm gonna have to end it here. But we will be doing another live show. I'm trying to figure out. I gotta hit up TA, and I gotta for Noble Sports Entertainment, and I gotta hit up Derek P. Fields and figure out what time we're going to do. It's probably going to be a later show, probably around 9 or so. And I got to figure out who channel we're going to do it on. But I'll repost it on here. I hope everybody come over and be a part of the conversation. I'll take a few more questions and then we're going to end it. There goes Moby. Tom Brady throwing the ex-quarterbacks. That's true. And that's because they have a great coach. And coaching is huge. Tom Brady had Randy Moss and went undefeated and lost. That is true. But they didn't lose because of the passing attack. They lost because the other team played defense and ran the ball. Well, our tight end cost us 3 games last year. Hashtag facts, Bruce Holmes. John Simmons, enjoy these people. Enjoyed this, people. I did too. Appreciate it. Good show. Peace out. Appreciate it, Bulk Sprays. Go Lions. I believe we will stick to the plan. Trade back for picks. Stay at 8. Bring O-line or tight end. The key is to trade back. We can get them all off that trade. I appreciate it. Bruce Holmes, peace out. 31T T Jackson, peace out. And so that's going to be it for right now today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll pick this up at another time. I'll put in my discussion section when we're going to have the other show for tomorrow, where it's going to be all 3 of us on there having a discussion. Hey, there goes Mobby, man. Check out my email, man. We might have to get you on the show. It's Luke G's Field Review at gmail.com, so we can get you on the show and talk some football, man. So that's it for now, people. And as always, I'm gonna end this video the same way I end all my videos. Don't be no chump. Please do your research. I'm out.